What would make a dentist want to buy over 40 dental practices? I'm here with my friend, Dr. Yahya Mansour, co-founder of Rodeo Dental, with his awesome friend, Dr. Sam. We become very close, admire him as a dentist, a dad, a human being. I want to share what he's done to build his culture. Yahya, welcome to Dentist Job Connect TV here, Yahya. Proud to have you on. Catch our audience up.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. I want to get into your associate day. Love going to see you in Fort Worth. Just give our audience kind of a little Yahya snapshot. When did you graduate from dental school? What made you want to jump into the multi-practice owner world, and a little bit about what you have going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, happy to be here with you. You do a phenomenal job leading the profession and leading the great group on Facebook, Dental Nacho. So really happy to be here and to learn to have grown to become very close with you and have a great relationship, which I value more than anything else. So super happy to be here and really honored. My journey into this multi-specialty, multi-location group was kind of happenstance. You know, I grew up in a dental family. Dad's a dentist, mom's a dentist. So I grew up in the solo practice my whole life. And, you know, as I finished dental school and met my best friend and partner, Dr. Mansour in dental school, he this and I came out as well about a year for him. From there, we just said, hey, let's build something really good for doctors, where doctors can come in and just be doctors, not have to wear 30 hats. And let's build something really great where it's built on clinical excellence so the patients get the best care that they can, and build a fun culture for the staff. And what do you know, when you have those three things, that's the recipe for success. So we just started growing it, and organically we found that we could continue to lean in on our core values and on building the culture. And here we are at 43, going to be 44 practices next month, about 200 associates across all dental specialties, from anesthesia to pros to pedo and ortho as well. So really blessed to be here, but I've learned a lot along the journey from people like you to help. Yeah.
Love that. Well, I turned 47 on September 10th of 2024. So I want you to have 47 by then. And you said a few things I want to dig into. And one of it has to do with, I loved seeing you speak at your associate dentist day. That was truly amazing. And you said dentistry doesn't not just fix teeth, it fixes spirits. And tell us what you mean by that, because I thought that was a perfect way to put dentistry. And also remind us, because it'd be quite crying sidey some days, right? Yeah, I know when patients say they hate us and why doesn't my insurance cover it? Tell us what you mean by this quote. I love it. I think you should share it all the time. It's the most perfect way to summarize what we do.
It is, you know, we by the way, we really focus on through loops, right? And fixing things on half a millimeter. But what about the person attached to that tooth, and what we can do to transform their, you know, when we go in there and we do a smile, we do an all on X, whatever it may be, we're not just improving people's health, right? We're improving how happy they feel about them. And I always go back to the study that showed baseball cards, you know, the baseball player that smiled really big and they lived to about 80 years old versus the guy that didn't smile and lived 7 years left. There's something to that, to the smiling and your inner spirit really just popping out, and even your patient's transformation. You know, they look different. Their eyes change, or they take their health a lot more seriously as well. So you see a lot of positive things that get sparked by dentistry.
I absolutely love that. And you've shared your culture is about clinical excellence, and groups get flack at times. Oh, this DSO doesn't care about clinical dentistry. Tell us about that being the core. When people text Rodeo to 215-798-9897 to apply to your positions on Dentist Job Connect. I was talking while waiting back about the Rodeo Dental Day. And what I think is so key is, tell us a little more about why you do that day. You get your whole team together, you bring in speakers, you also add in fun. That's something I truly have never seen before. Associates who apply and become part of your family, whether it's their first 6 months, you've had people there for 6 years. Tell us about that day.
Yeah, absolutely. We do our annual summit We bring together all the doctors, all the regions, all the specialties under one roof to really align behind our mission and our core value, but also to add value to our associates' careers, right? You know, like I was talking about earlier, we focus so much on, you know, the procedures and the technical things, but it's really important also to learn about leadership and about how do you build a world-class team, and how do you work together with a world-class team as well. So getting everyone together like that, it's a monumental effort, and kudos goes to my entire team for putting it together. But it's worth the time that we invest in it, because it's an investment directly in our associates, and even our office leaders we invited this time as well. And then most importantly, I think it's important to have fun, right? Our job is stressful enough. We talk a lot about mental health and being happy, and you say, you know, that patients sometimes say they don't like us, and you know, success, the difference between success and failure sometimes can be a millimeter, half a millimeter, and it's stressful. So it's like we can still have a high level of excellence, but also have fun while you're doing it.
I think that's awesome. I had a chance to really talk. I'm really impressed with some of your clinical directors, some of these dentists who, they look like young dentists to me. I know they're sometimes 5 or 6 years out of school, but I'm 20 years out of school. Let's just, you know, in the most value-driven way, the most genuine way, not to be discouraging, but to be inspiring. What do you look for in an associate? You guys go to dental schools. You may get people from GPRs. I've had people from Nacho's work somewhere else for a few years and come to work for you. So if you were talking to a third-year dental student saying, what should you do to set yourself up for success with wanting to be selected by a Rodeo Dental or a group that gets it, what would you tell these D3s?
Great question, because I get asked that when I speak at the dental schools and at the residency programs as well. And really what I've seen, the most successful dentists that come into Rodeo and really just rock it, they are good with people. They know how to communicate, and they're malleable in terms of wanting to learn and realizing that they might not know everything, and really collaborating with people and accepting, you know, we talk about mentorship, but accepting the mentorship is something really, really important as well.
I was talking just on a Zoom recently, and I came up with a kind of a thought that I think was good. You know, whatever they do in dental school, whether they do 180 extractions, 200 fillings, 30 crowns, I think it's tough because you don't see that many patients, right? Your patient nucleus is so small. And then when you get into the real world, you're now developing relationships with sometimes 15 new patients a day. And I think we have to have empathy for these dentists who, because think of this guy, I said, every patient's new to them. And you talked about being good with people. Tell our audience a little more about that, right? Whether it's the team, whether it's the patients, or, hey, if people want to work on that skill, what would they do?
Absolutely. Great question. So you said the magic word, empathy, right? And just learning to listen and ask questions and learn to listen. You know, Steve Anderson always told me, he said, be interested, not interesting. And we try sometimes so hard to be so interesting and connect with our patients. And sometimes just ask them the question and listen to them and have empathy for them as well, that, you know, they come in and, you know, they have 1,001 problems, right? They're worried about their finances, or they got to make it to 3-4 different places, or their car broke down. Don't be 1,001. You know, take a problem.
I use your amazing mom's. I use your amazing mom's quote. I love that. I got quotes. And then also Sam said last week, your awesome dad took some of the most C of all time or something, or he's the
Mickey Mantle of dental.
Now, tell us a little bit about this. I was asking Sam about this. You know, we have your positions listed. We're partnered with you guys on Dentist Job Connect. We love that. People can text Rodeo to 215-798-9897 to learn more. The world of the DSO or the group practice. You know, I was at Bulletproof with Peter Bolden. He's owned 7 practices. He gives fractional ownership to people. He would not consider himself to be a DSO. You guys have a DSO, but whatever it is, what are paths to ownership that might look different than 15 or 20 years ago? Do you guys offer those? Have you heard about them? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a pathway to ownership. We're really passionate about building careers, you know, not just giving somebody a job or creating jobs, but building careers. So we have a pathway to ownership, and we really lay it out. I call it it's like a dental menu. Like, if you want to be a pure clinical doctor, you can do that and be all you can be, and lean into all the CE we do and the mini residencies. If you want more than that, you want a leadership position, you can be a lead doc, you can be a regional lead doc, where you lead a region and really do that. And then you can also have ownership at the DSO level. And DSO to me is just really, when Sam and I were 2-3 practices, people were calling us a DSO. I didn't even know what it was. It's just multiple practices. My parents had 2 practices. Were they a DSO? No one's really defined it
right.
Very well.
They're good at yelling about it, but not
Yes.
defining it, right? So good at yelling about it. And I think it represents to me, Yahya, and you guys represent, I think, the group getting it. Like, dentists working together under the same roof, I'll put in parentheses, because I know there are many different roofs out there for you guys. There's so much benefit to that, right? Less loneliness. I met specialists they could work with. I really want you to tell this group, and I want the Nacho and Job Clinic to pull us out, and you should be proud of this, even if, I know you're a humble guy, the mini residencies you do. Tell us about this, because those are learning on real patients, which is sorely missed. I go and practice basketball by myself. I can practice my 3-point shots. There's no game. Dentistry's in-game practice most of the time, which is a lot of pressure. So tell us what sparked these mini residencies and how do they work?
Yeah, the mini residencies was really a partnership and a commitment. The commitment was to always offer our doctors all world-class CE, to offer it in there. And we can only stare at PowerPoints for so long. Like, you can only learn so much. You have to do it. You have to do wet finger dentistry. And then the partnership piece came along with, we have a group called Dentists Who Care in South Texas, who is ADA recognized group. They serve the underinsured patients. So we partnered with them so where we can get specialist care. So like Dr. Ortiz, our director of endodontics, will come in and he will teach our associates how to do endo and complex endo cases on these patients that need care as well. So it becomes a win-win. You learn, you get CE, you get to learn from specialists, and you get to treat people that otherwise have no other route to get treatment. They could end up in the hospital with abscesses or pain. So it became this union of forces that's turned into something really, really powerful.
That's so amazing, because my dad was a dentist just like yours, and even when I work with him, and I did a multiple year GPR, and sometimes what I needed help with, wasn't necessarily the exact clinical step, but I needed someone over my shoulder. But the challenging part was patients lose confidence in the dentist who needs the person over their shoulder, even though in the medical world, that's called being awesome. Even though in the medical world, when 4 people come to help deliver a baby, the patient goes, look at this great care. But for some reason, if I walk in and help my associate put on impression coping, now my associate doesn't know what they're doing. It's very unfair. And but what you guys are doing. And also, I'm excited next week. I know you're exploring what our sponsor, Ripe Global, does, because they've created this too. Because, you do this day on implants, or you do this day, but then you also need some follow-up practice, right?
Yes.
And Ripe has created this basketball court in your operatory where you can learn on lifelike models and do it over and over again. And I think that's the unlock dentistry needs, because I think you're a positive guy and I'm a positive guy, but I think we got to be real. Dental school just does not give the reps to provide competency.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of the other reason for the mini residencies was I saw a real gap, and I'll be real candid, a real gap in dental education. And what was coming out, and I could either complain about it or I could do something about it. And I said, we're going to do something about it, and we're going to help bridge that gap and really help people, because you come out of dental school, you don't know what you don't know, right? We don't know everything. And there's a whole world out there of stuff we don't know. And you need the reps, you need muscle memory, you need to take that jump shot, right? Like,
and you need someone over your shoulder say, that was close to it this way. I've taught like probably 50 my first implant courses. And while they are paid courses, there's something just so cool between the patient, the training dentist, and the expert dentist. And there's just this cool camaraderie that happens that day. The patient winds up really cheering on the training dentist, right? In this way that's so cool. But to be real, it wouldn't work in private practice or in-game stuff, because there's just no time for this, right? I mean, that's what dental students don't get. They go, oh, I want to get a job where I get mentored, right? And I go, okay, here's tell me more about that. Like, I got my patients, you got your patients. There's not really time in the middle of me seeing my patients to stop and go help you with your patients.
Yeah.
Because we both have to be seeing patients. And that's why I think these mini residencies, the right globals, the things like that, it's giving these newer dentists the ability to find skills they wouldn't be able to do in the real day of their dental day.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it really well when you said, having somebody over your shoulder. I mean, if you think about it, the follow through after, you do your day of training or a couple of days of training, but what about the follow through after? Everyone needs a coach, right? Even Michael Jordan needed the greatest of all time, needed a coach. We all need a coach and a mentor. So having that follow up, and sometimes you need somebody in the room with you. And I want to make that okay where people come in and help chair side, but sometimes it's, shoot me a picture of the x-ray, or shoot me what would you do here? How you look at this prep, or, hey, does this look fully seated on the abutment? And sometimes some things don't have to be in the chair, but always having a group of mentors. Because I feel like mentorship should be a culture, not just always a one-on-one
I love that
situation. But having that forum is perfect. Yeah.
I wanted to interject. I wrote an article for Dental Economics, Are You My Mentor? Like, are you my mom, from that bird thing? And I said, mentorship takes so many different forms, from FaceTime to face-to-face to Facebook. And I really just love the way you kind of put how that mentorship is a group activity. Now, I don't want to keep you too much longer. I want to have a few more questions. Let's now go outside the operatory. Let's take a break from clinical dentistry and talk about the business of dentistry, the management part. So you're someone who has gone from not being a practice owner to being attached as an owner to 44 practices, right? And it's not a contest because there's another dentist that's attached to 300 practices or 4, but we all know the feeling of, oh man, the stuff outside of the operatory, the stuff outside of the patient stuff. What would you advise someone who wants to get into the business part of this? I told Sam last week, I spoke at the ASDA event in Ohio, and these dental students are so awesome and so motivated, and at times overly optimistic. They go, hey, Paul, Nacho guy, I want to own 8 practices. I go, oh, great. What are you now? They go, I'm a D2. I go, how about one practice? Start with one practice. And I don't want to yuck their yum, as they say, or discourage them, but I say, why don't you see how your first practice goes? So if somebody wants to start to pay attention to the business and team management part, give us some advice or some things that have helped you along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. A lot of people want to run before they can crawl and walk. And you got to go through the process, right? Some people would come out and they say, I want to learn implants. I'm like, learn to do a crown in 20 minutes at a level of world-class excellence. And it's the same with the business part or the administration part. Start with one and find mentors that are good at that, and it's not about the number of offices you have, it's about your happiness. Like, some people are happy with one and having 4 walls, and some people want to own 1,000 or whatever it may be. But find your happiness, because we always think more is better and we idealize it in our mind, but we don't realize all the stress and all the negatives that can come with that, and all the responsibilities that are there. But finding a mentor, another practice owner, joining a group like Dental Nachos, where you can talk about things and collaborate and share positive things is important. That's part of mentorship as well. But finding somebody to help you along the journey, and also when you're an associate, act as if you own the practice, because you will learn so much and get so much out of it when you're involved, rather than just clocking in or clocking out. Because then when the owner knows and sees that, they will naturally gravitate towards helping teach.
I love that advice.
A lot of things and mentoring them.
I don't have an older brother. I think of you like, another brother. We're closer in age, but the person I think of as an older brother to me is Mark Costas. He's just 6 years older than me. And you made me think something. When he was a new associate, he went to dental school. He thought later. He said he had to get going quick. When he was an associate, whenever he had a cancellation, he sat next to the office manager and he goes, show me how insurance works. Show me this. And now this Mark Costas is one of the most successful business, multiple practice, because he knew. That's the thing that I really bothers me about dental school. They overvalue clinical skills at the expense of business skills, right? The game is basketball. It's dribbling, it's passing, it's shooting, it's being a good teammate. And sometimes when they say, oh, you'll just learn this stuff later, it can be very destructive to a career because they take a bad job, they get involved in an environment that is not productive for them. So I think your point, and one thing I can add is my best business coach, I was lucky to meet her, had great timing, and she has advised presidents of the United States. So I'm lucky to have her. And she never went to dental school. So I want to tell everyone out there, it's great to have business coaches and coaches that did not go to dental school. Someone doesn't have to go to dental school, because some of the things online go, oh, why would you trust this coach? They never went to dental school. I go, I think dental school actually, we have to unlearn some of the things they taught us for business, right? So I'm sure you have coaches that have never picked up a handpiece in a dental school. So don't use, they got to be a dentist. Because I don't know, I found that there's a weird, I can only learn from another dentist. And I don't know what you think, but I think that can be very limiting.
I'll tell. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I've had business coaches, not dentists. I study other companies that aren't dental, Southwest, and all these great brands, and Nike. But you study what they do to succeed, and the principles of success are the same no matter where you go. I mean, we had one business class, and I use business under quotations, and I wrote about the group practice model, and I got a D+ on it. And dental school probs, Jamal, he always asks me, he's like, can you find me that paper? Because I want to post it. And I'm like, I can't find it. I don't know where it is, but they don't teach us much there. And you can learn from, the office manager. I mean, some of my team, they know stuff. I'll tell you a secret. I don't know it. I don't know that much about credentialing, and I don't need to know it, but I need to hire somebody who needs to know it.
Go to the right people.
About it. Go to the right people, hire the right people.
And this is what I describe about dental school. And I don't want to come off as someone who only is critical, because they have a very hard job. But how old are your children again? Mine are 9
3
and
5. 1.
So yours is perfect with a 3-year-old. So this is the way I describe it. I just gave a lecture to these brokers, and I said, being a dental practice owner, I have my daughter on my shoulders who's 4 years old, and an older couple comes up to me in Philadelphia and says, don't let those days go by too fast, Paul. They're the best days of your life. And I say, oh, how old are your kids? And they say 40. And I say, do you wish they were 4 again? And they say, God, no. Right. And I go, what a weird way to describe. And that's having a dental practice. It's like having a 4-year-old that never grows up. It's awesome. It's annoying. It's exhausting. And what I think is the problem is most of the people teaching in dental school either never had a practice, or they had a practice like decades ago. So while they might have some core parenting tips for us younger parents, it's just, there's too many things have changed, right? When parents would judge me and say, I wouldn't let my kid use an iPad, I go, iPads weren't invented in the 70s, old person. You would hand them that iPad so you could have a margarita in peace with your wife in under 2 seconds. Because you know what my siblings and I did to pass time in the car, Yahya? We physically fought with each other in the car. Right?
That was our iPad.
I think what you said is right, because you want to look for voices outside of dentistry. And I love that you study Nike and these brands. And you guys did something really cool. You brought in someone from the Ritz-Carlton, Rose, who I love meeting. Tell us, why did you do that? I mean, you and Sam, you're running this great thing. You have a great culture, but you say we could even make it better. You hired someone who's worked at the Ritz-Carlton. Tell us why you did that.
We did it. Rose is amazing. She's our chief people officer, and we love investing in people. That's the most important thing. You can buy some fancy piece of equipment or a 3D printer or a mill, but when you invest in your people and your team, it is the most valuable investment you can make for both people. And Rose, we have such a commitment to patient experience and service. It's part of our core values, that who better to bring along than somebody in the service industry. And she helped build Marriott and Wynn and the Four Seasons, and just really knows proper service values. And we wanted to really propagate that throughout the organization and throughout the profession as well.
And I think, I really like this, because my friend Todd Fleischman, he says, don't get it twisted. I mean, there's a great opportunity. You guys have to continue to show up for your associates to make them want to stay there, right? I did that for my Nacho team, Job Connect team. It's investing in tools. It's investing in training. It's a two-way street, right? I mean, associate dentists can have a lot of options, buy their own practice, start a practice. And I know when they do that, I'm sure you wish them well, but there's a very cool opportunity to develop a career path that I don't think has really ever existed. And, as we wrap up in a few minutes here, I'm sure you got to go to your family. I think what you're doing is, buying your own practice and running a solo practice can be awesome, but it can also cause a lot of anxiety. And then working as an associate forever, I've really never seen somebody do that. So maybe there's something in the middle where you can partner inside of a group. Because I'll share, I mean, if my wife owned her own business, like I own mine, it would be very difficult for the family. So it doesn't mean spouses can't each own their own small businesses and things like that. It just means like, if one job's pretty stable, where like you go to work, you have resources, they're not texting you at 6:30 a.m. if someone calls out. I think you guys have created paths for associates to do that. So maybe as you wrap up, tell us, if you were talking to a dentist out of a GPR, dentist out of a dental school, encourage them to reach out and talk to you guys about their future. The floor is yours to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to tell everyone that, some people get into this private practice versus DSO. There's good and bad in everything. And you just have to find the right fit. Where is your happiness? If you want to go own 8 practices on your own, or if you want to, hey, I don't want to deal with that headache, I want to be part of a group, learn from other doctors. There's the group practice model that works in the DSO practice. Just be open-minded, talk to the other associates. Dr. Paul does a terrific job of showing do's and don'ts in terms of looking for positions. If they make you do a working interview, kind of a red flag. Certain things in contracts, you don't want it to be like that. Like, we want to build something that's so great at Rodeo and to continue to build it, that people want to come in, not that we come and trap somebody in, into some contract. Like that doesn't make anybody happy. And I want to show you guys that there's a third option. The world is not black and white, whether you're an owner or an associate. You can have this other option where you're part of a group and you don't have to do it by yourself and feel the loneliness of dentistry, when you're just sitting there in 4 walls. And I remember when I first started, my dad, this master clinician, asked me something, and I was just graduated like a month or two out, and I was like, you're asking me, like you're like the man, and I could tell it's because he just wanted to bounce ideas off and really see and have the humble mindset to know maybe I don't know everything, and he's coming in with a fresh set of eyes. So being able to work with other clinicians too under one roof, whether it's 2 or 4 docs, is a really, really beautiful thing in my opinion. And there is a third way, and there's probably going to be a fourth way, something that hasn't been invented yet as well. So don't think in binary terms of black and white. Be open-minded, ask a lot of questions. You're always more than welcome to. I respond to every message that I get. I'm always here. I'm here for the profession. I'm not here for rodeo. I'm here to uplift dentistry and help change things for the better, and really love working side by side with Dr. Paul here and the other great clinicians and doctors that are out there to change dentistry for the better.
Absolutely love that. I always say, I did a video, and my last line was, no one really likes the dentist, so we may as well like each other. And I'm so lucky that I found you. Give dental school probs all the credit to like each other. To learn more about Rodeo Dental, please go to dentistjobconnect.com. Also, you're always on. You're really good with Instagram. Is that the best way for people to DM you, Dr. Yahya Mansour, Instagram, or what's the best way for them to connect?
Yeah, that's the best way. I'm on LinkedIn a little bit, Facebook a little bit, probably Instagram more. And it's just Dr. Yahya Mansour, my name, nothing fancy, on Instagram, and I'll get back to you. I'll help you if your career isn't even with rodeo and you need help. I'm here to help you.
I absolutely love that. Well, stick around for a minute. Facebook Live crew, you're lucky to hear from Dr. Mansour, my friend, fellow dad, dentisting human, making things better. Thanks so much, Yahya.
Thanks, Dr. Paul. Really enjoy everything you're doing, and keep up the good work.